Yes, I know this video is a little bit late into 2023, but better late than never. 2023 has a lot of movies coming out. Now that we're recovering from the pandemic, a lot of these movies are movies that were supposed to come out last year or the year before. This is the first year where it feels like movies are truly back. Of course, last year we did see shimmers of that, but we still had delays. This year, I feel like we're going to have no delays whatsoever. Let's get on with this list. Coming in at number 10 is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I really liked the first three films, and of course, Crystal Skull did not set very well with me. So of course, there's a part of me asking myself, is this movie necessary? And part of me is leaning no. Hopefully this film can find a way to justify itself. The only reason why this movie is on its list is because James Mangold and his team are making this movie. That's absolutely the only reason. I love the way that they handled Logan. Ford v Ferrari is a very good film, so I'm very excited to see what they can do with Indiana Jones, because I have the feeling that he's going to treat the character with respect, because he did a great job with Wolverine, aka Logan. Coming in at number 9 is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I'm surprised that this made the list, to be completely honest, because Ant-Man and the Wasp, I didn't like it. It's one of my least favorite MCU films. So Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I would expect to be very not really interested in, but Peyton Reed directed 2 pretty good Mandalorian episodes. They're not my favorite Mandalorian episodes, so he clearly strived very well in Star Wars, sci-fi, weird. Now having seen the trailer, knowing that this isn't necessarily about creativity with growing and shrinking, this is diving into the quantum realm. Clearly this is what Peyton Reed strives in and what he wants to do. I'm kind of glad that we're kind of growing out of the phase where it feels like he is making Ant-Man movies that he doesn't want to make, and it feels like he's making a movie that he really wants to make. Of course, he says it has Avengers level stakes, so we'll see what they have to offer with that. King the Conqueror looks great. I'm very excited to see what Jonathan Majors has to bring to this role. So I'm surprised to say that Quantumania I'm actually really excited for. Coming in at number 8 is Creed 3. I really like the first 2 Creed films, of course, Creed 1 being the best, and probably will still remain the best after this movie, but I'm mostly curious to see how Michael B. Jordan directs. This is his first feature film, and I'm very excited to see what he has to bring to the table, if he will phone it in behind the camera or phone it in front of the camera, get this movie done, or if he does an excellent job at both. I'm very curious to see what this movie has to. Of course, Jonathan Majors is in this movie as well, and he's going to be the antagonist. And he also looks like a strong villain, quite literally. This looks like this is going to be a very sentimental family film, even though it's a boxing film. I'm excited to see what Creed 3 has to offer, because the first trailer was actually pretty good. Coming in at number 7 is a movie I know absolutely nothing about. All I know is who's directing it and who's starring in it, and that is Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese film, Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. I'm sold. Okay. Coming in at number 6 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. A lot of people have this movie as their number 1, and while I understand that, I don't quite love the first Spider-Verse like other people do. I still really love Into the Spider-Verse, but I don't hold it to the highest regards like everyone else does. Like, it's top 15 comic book movies of all time, and I know most people have it in like top 5. Still, that doesn't mean I am a party pooper on Into the Spider-Verse, because it's still a fantastic film. So I am sure this movie is going to be no different. I know we have a little bit of a change behind the camera, but based off that first trailer, it really looks like they're going to be leaning into the character Miles Morales, because we got a very great speech from Miles's mom in the trailer. And of course it does have that Spider-Man cameo stuff, but of course I want this to be a personal story, and I trust that this movie will be great, because the first one was great. Coming in at number 5 is a movie that would have been higher before the third film, and that is John Wick Chapter 4. The first 2 John Wick movies are absolutely like my favorite action cinema movies ever. The third one I still enjoy, but don't hold to the highest regards like I do the first 2. So my big question about Chapter 4 is, will this be better than 3? Because if this is like the quality of 1 and 2, heck yeah, this is going to be top 5 of the year. But if this is quality of 3, I'm still going to really like it, but it's still not going to be quite my type of action film. What I love about the first 2 films is that they just had perfect spacing between action sequences and dialogue, and it just felt like it flowed very well. Chapter 3 felt like they kind of overdid it a little bit in the action sequence standpoint. Not that to say that the action sequences were bad, because they're still top tier action sequences. It's just constructing it as a film didn't always flow the best with me, because I felt a little exhausted, a little too much at moments in this movie in Chapter 3. Based off what I saw from the trailers, it looks like it's going to be almost kind of diving into John Wick's mental state. The trailer opens and he's at a church and he's there for his wife, and the villain of the film asks him, "What are you here for?" And he's like, "I guess to see my wife." He's not even sure if he believes in an afterlife. And so that that looks like that's going to be a very prominent theme if lightning can strike twice with him, if he can once again pull off that miracle of getting out. I would have personally preferred these movies to end at 3, but I am still down to see another chapter. Coming in at number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. James Gunn has just been killing it lately. I have no doubt that this is going to be one of the best MCU films and one of the best Guardians film, and that's mostly because James Gunn has just been killing it. Peacemaker is one of the best shows I've ever watched. The Suicide Squad is a very, very good DC film, and so I'm extremely excited to see what Guardians 3 has to offer. I had no doubt that it's going to be the most emotional of the 3, and it looks like, based off what I see in the trailers, going to be a very well-directed film, great action, great sci-fi. The only thing that does concern me is that Marvel post-production CGI weirdness that happens sometimes, because I start to feel it a little bit in the trailer, and with James Gunn now taking over DC, writing a Superman movie and doing this, and he has to okay these CGI shots, it makes me wonder, is Guardians 3 going to be on the back burner as he's coming up with this huge DC plan? So I'm very curious to see how that works out. I do trust the guy, so I trust that he's going to find a great balance between the two. It's just still lingering in the back of my head. These top 3 movies that I'm anticipating could all easily be number 1. It's just this is the ranking I have it at. And to be completely honest, I expect all 3 of these movies to be in the top 10 of 2023. I have high expectations for them, and I'm holding them to a gold standard just because of what came before them from those directors and from its previous films. Coming in at number 3 is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Mission Impossible Fallout is one of my favorite movies of all time. I believe it's like my number 5. Mission Impossible Fallout is one of the best action films ever made. Do I expect it to be as good as Fallout? No, I don't want to set my expectations that high because of how much I love that movie. Because if this movie even slightly alters to that, I don't want to be disappointed. I love Rogue Nation, and so I'm very curious to see if this is going to be like a part 1, like a Deathly Hallows part 1, or if like a part 1 just feels like another chapter, like another Mission Impossible Fallout. I fully expect for Christopher McQuarrie to bring the goodies when it comes to cinematography, Tom Cruise madness, absolutely fun action sequences, a good story, and grandiose spectacle. Coming in at number 2, speaking of grandiose spectacle, Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. I would never have a Oppenheimer biopic in my top 10 most anticipated movies of the year unless it were directed by someone like Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is my god of filmmaking. I will always look up to the guy as one of the best filmmakers alive. I love every single one of his movies. If you go on my Letterboxd, every movie I've seen of him is at least a 4.5 and up. Even Tenet I have as a 5 out of 5. I will fight for that. Interstellar is my favorite movie of all time. Dunkirk, I think, is one of the best war movies ever made. And I know it sounds biased, but it's just the way I perceive it. Christopher Nolan is just that good of a director. He made the best comic book movie ever. So I suspect that he will make a legendary biopic that will have a legendary effect on cinema once again, because Christopher Nolan doesn't miss. And coming in at number 1, even though Christopher Nolan is my favorite director, this is the director that has the most movies in my top 10. He has 3 movies in my top 10, and that is Denis Villeneuve. And my number 1 most anticipated movie of the year is Dune Part 2. I love the first Dune. Do I hold it as high standards as his other films in my top 10? No. The first Dune of the 6 Villeneuve films that I've seen is my number 4. It's not my favorite of his films, but the reason why I'm so excited for Dune Part 2 is because he said it in his interviews. Dune Part 1 is setting up the chess pieces. Part 2 is where he gets to have his fun. And if Part 1 was just only set up for what's to come in this film, I suspect that this will be an assault of my senses and a great movie. And the reason why I'm just a little bit more excited for this than I am Oppenheimer is simply because Denis has more movies in my top 10 than Nolan does, with 3, and Nolan has 2 in my top 10. But anyways, that is my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2023. I know this video is a little bit late, and I do apologize for that. But as of recording this, it is Sunday the 8th, and I know this is going to be coming out about a week after recording. But of course, the Ant-Man trailer is tomorrow, and the Golden Globes is Tuesday. I want to evenly spread out these videos and not bombard you guys too much content. Anyways, comment down below what your top 10 most anticipated films of 2023 are. I'm very curious to see what people are looking forward to. So yeah, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.